Thank you. So a lot of people know me as the small business coach at ICF. I spent the last 15 years of my entire academic and professional career trying to solve the problem of small business failure, trying to figure out, I realized as a consultant, I was going in, I was telling people what to do and they weren't listening. And the long story short was I learned some coaching skills and I haven't really looked back. And so I've been really focusing on that. I just earned my Master of Arts in Executive and Organizational Coaching, and it took me down another road. And that's really what I want to share with you today. One, the importance of what we're doing here around why we need to support small business owners and how it has a local effect and also a global effect as well. And what you can do about it, how you can get involved in that, help yourself grow your own practice, but also help the small business owners. Before I do get started, I'd like to acknowledge that my home and my place of work, I work from home, is situated on the unceded territory of the Matsqui, Kwantlen, Katzie, and Semiahmoo First Nations. This in respect to the elders past, present, and future. Today in our 30-minute event, we're going to look at the small business coaching market, so what that means to coaches, why small business coaching now particularly, beyond the business, which is where I went with my research project, at looking at some coaching research and how to get involved. So I know a lot of you are interested in training grants and then answering your questions. So I really, if you think about the size of, if you look at the world and you think about what runs the world, it's the small business owners. 90% of all businesses are small. And so what we're looking at here is, how a coach approach, and in my case, I discovered sort of the systems thinking, appreciative inquiry, and some foundational business principles. How can we help those small business owners and really to create and sustain a healthy world economy? So that's the focus. And where did this come from? I owned a travel agency. I started a travel agency back in 1993. I was a single mom. I had no choice but to start the business. My son was told never to come back to my office again. He was 2.5, and he pulled out he's curious, right? So he pulled out a plug at the agency, and this is before the internet, and he shut down every travel agency in the Fraser Valley. And so my boss said to me after that, please don't bring your child to work. And because he was actually kicked out of most daycares, I really didn't have a choice. So like most entrepreneurs, I started my business because I had to. I knew I was a great travel agent, but I did not have the first clue about running a business. And so there was a lot of stress, and I was really looking for some help. And I realized looking back, I didn't get it. I had a lot of people telling me what to do. And if I had a coach, it sure would have gone a lot better. I really craved someone that could listen to me, someone that would understand where I was at. And fortunately, I got lucky. I understood systems, and I had the business for 7 years with 7 employees, built it to a $3 million a year enterprise. And I sold the business in 1999. And so this is the context for how did Beverlee land from business owner to now business coach. Part of that story was in 1997, the airlines took away our revenue. We lost 70% of our revenue in one day. And from that experience, because we had systems and structure in place, I was able to pivot really quickly to fee-based pay. And then I went around to all the other travel agents in my neighborhood, at that point married with a new baby, and started sharing my systems for how to get paid fee-based pay. And so I think that's when I became a coach and started helping others and looking back at that experience. So so that's the story behind that. If you want to know more about that story, and again, this is not a scripted LinkedIn Live, this is Beverlee just sharing her story. I did write a new book. I've written 2 books. This one came out in October, and this is the story of a small business owner. If you own a business, if you know someone that owns a business, if you're in a family of a business owner, you'll probably want to read this. It's Small Business, Big Opportunity. It is available on Amazon. It's really proud of making Amazon #1 bestseller within the first week of selling the book, putting the book out there. And so that's a little bit more about the story of if you're going to get involved with small business owners to really understand psychographics and demographics of that population. So that's sort of the backstory. So my question is, why the focus on small business? And, again, if you think about our community, think about when the pandemic hit. We probably didn't even realize that we're small business owners until the pandemic hit. We think about my chiropractor and my husband's hairstylist, barber, that's what it's called. They all lost their jobs. And all of a sudden we realized that, the only choice we had was, Amazon and maybe Costco. And so when I was doing the research on for my master's paper, I realized that a full 90% of businesses in the world are considered small. In Canada, a small business is 100 employees. In the US, it's 250 employees. I think in Europe, it's around UK, I think is 50 employees. So it goes by number of employees, not revenue. So a lot of coaches are working in small business already, and they don't realize, they think a small business is like a micro business with 1 or 2 people, which can be a small business as well, but just consider that sort of those numbers. And those small business owners employ 70% of the world's population. Think about a pretty big number. So here's the other statistic. 51% of them fail within the first 5 years. So we have 70% of the population losing their job, 50% of the time. And so going back to how I got so hooked on wanting to help small business owners, I interviewed 3,000 of them before coming to this, before becoming a coach. And I heard their stories. And when you lose your business, there's always more stories behind it. The kids don't get to go to private school. Maybe that's a big deal for you. Maybe it's not. Maybe the kids don't get to eat. That loan that you took out from your mother-in-law that's never going to get paid back puts a permanent rift in the family. So I think we have this underlying stress that we don't really acknowledge. And the really beautiful thing about it is that coaching can really help. These small business owners are smart. They don't need a lot. They need to be seen, heard, and understood. They need someone to stand beside them and really listen to them and find out, what it is that they need. So the paper I wrote was on the democratization of small business coaching, making coaching available to all small business owners. So I have this vision, a world where all small business owners have the skills, tools, and confidence to contribute to a healthy world economy, creating secure, meaningful employment while maintaining personal prosperity and freedom. The number one thing when I spoke to those small business owners back when I was doing those interviews, those assessments, I would say, if you could wave a magic wand and fix one thing in your business, what would that be? Pretty cool coaching question, huh? Didn't know about coaching back then, but I was being a coach, which was great. And almost 80% or more of the time, the small business owner would say, oh, freedom, I want my freedom back. So what started off as something that they were excited to do, they thought they could do, it turned out to be a trap. And so that was the part that really, really got me. So, okay, so just want to look at where are some of the gaps. And if you're an ICF coach, certified coach listening to this, just stretch and grow with me here a little bit. It is pure coaching. There is also as a small business coach, there are some business fundamentals that you need to understand. And where a lot of the clients are struggling with, they don't understand their financials. And so, for example, those coaching questions are, what do you understand? What don't you understand? Where can you get the information? It's not about us knowing how to be an expert accountant. It's about being able to ask the right questions so that we can help them figure out what they need to know. Knowing how to hire. Hiring is like dating. It's awful. Small business owners will tell you that it's like, no, and firing is even worse. So they hire bad and then they hang on to bad employees. And so even just giving them the confidence and talking about having a coaching conversation about hiring is essential. And then a system in place for hiring moving forward. What are the steps that you're going to follow 100% of the time? Obviously, not understanding the target market, getting caught off in bright, shiny objects. Maybe it's TikTok is good, maybe it's not. Maybe putting something in the local newspaper is more appropriate, but it's only known if you understand your target market. Having your policies and procedures in place used to be a really big daunting task. Now with AI, it's a lot easier, and I'm having a lot more fun with that. Business owners used to cringe and fight me every step of the way, but now they're happily putting their SOPs into place. So, and the biggest thing, the coaching conversations I have the most are around confidence. And it comes out imposter syndrome, all the things that you coach executive leaders on, the small business owners and their teams we're still dealing with human beings here. So when I was looking at, when I did my master's paper, and my paper was called The Democratization of Small Business Coaching. And I justify it from the fact that our healthy small business community contributes to economic sustainability, creating jobs, generating revenue, and promoting innovation. I'm doing a project now in South Tacoma. So there's a particular area of South Tacoma that's really struggling. It's bad when the hotels all around the area are $200 a night, and the hotels in that area are $55 a night. So but the community's coming together. So there's a lot of bars, there's a lot of restaurants, but it's kind of maybe not as, it's struggling. The community there is struggling. So through coaching, we can go in and bring everyone together, get them working together, and in a healthy community, the money changes hands 7 times. So the store owner gets the money, buys flowers, the flower owner pays the babysitter then goes to the local gift shop, and the money changes hands 7 times. In a poor community, in a community that's struggling economically, the money only changes hands once. And so this is, again, the reason why if we can strengthen those small businesses and get that money moving around in the community, then we're creating jobs, we're creating community. Small business owners are the most generous people on the planet. They're the Rotarians, they're the volunteers and the ones that get in there and donate to Little League and, in schools and build playgrounds. So this is, again, another reason why we want to support small business owners. And yet, which shocked me, in the data from 2023, the new report from the International Coaching Federation, only 3% of ICF coaches reported that small business coaching was their main area of focus. So, the needs being so high, it's fitting that, I wanted to really explore the gap in this market. So I used something fun. I used something called social exchange theory. And the idea behind social exchange theory is cost and reward. And the best way I can describe it to you is, if you remember back, and depending on how old you are, I don't know if this will mean anything to you, but if you remember back in high school or in even middle school, it was really cool to wear Levi jeans. And it was really not cool to wear Wrangler jeans. So the idea with social exchange is that we put a perception on a particular thing. Well, I think right now it's not cool to coach small business owners. But I think in the future, just like today is cool to wear Wrangler jeans. I think in the future, and it's happening now, it's going to be that small business coaching is going to be that number one market. Just like we've just had group and team coaching. You think of all the fads that have come through the coaching market. I think small business coaching is going to be the next big fad. So that's kind of my theory on that. What did I learn here along the way? So of course, the challenge is important of small business. I read maybe 800 papers I had access to that said 2 things. One, small business owners are the backbone of every economy. They talked about GDP, they talked about jobs, how important they are. That was the first paragraph of every paper I read. And the second paragraph of every paper I read says, and they fail at an alarming rate. So the other part was the how small business can help achieve the UN sustainability goals. Well, if you look at the goals around creating jobs, creating and just basic communities employments, without supporting small business, we'll never be able to achieve these goals. And we're looking at that right now happening in Nigeria, in places of conflict, where places all over the world where we've lost that base. We've lost that small business base. And as small business coaches, we can make a difference with that. If we can strengthen those companies right from the ground up, then we can lift up those countries and we can lift up those communities. And so it really is tied to really important work. That's all good. So again, looking at the importance of small business owners. So these are the sustainability goals. And so if you think about how important small business is, the ability to reduce hunger because of jobs. Goal number 8, decent work and economic growth. Even sustainable cities and communities. None of this will happen without small business. So this is the part that questions that came into me were asked. So I had a question from Julie. So how to find clients. So she's a new coach and she was wondering how to find coaching clients. I would encourage you to consider serving the small business coach market. The clients are out there. They may not be the $300, $500 an hour coaching clients that you can get from a senior executive. And yet they do have budgets for coaching and they are seeking. It's now becoming really popular to have a business coach. I've noticed the increase in demand from our coaching company, people seeking out coaches, and it's becoming more mainstream. And so definitely, and how do you then go about and get those clients? Going to, as a coach, if you take a coach approach, we have a secret weapon. We have the ability to ask questions and listen. And think about the last time someone actually listened to you. If you go to a chamber meeting, you go to an event and you ask questions to somebody, and they'll feel seen, heard, and understood, and you'll build a relationship with them very quickly and then earn their trust. It's about relationships and it's about building trust. So as a new coach, it's going out there and talking to people and not just talking to them, but listening to them. Ask, don't tell. Use your coaching skills to gain clients in the market. So I'll talk about grants for a moment. How do you get the small business owners working together? How do we start that? And as a coach, you learn your coaching. We teach coaching and training as well. What I notice is when the business owners work together and in cohort-based learning, they start sharing with each other. They start buying from each other. And so as a coach, you can do group coaching is a great way to help create economic viability in a community. Get a group of 10 business owners together, meet with them weekly, go through their challenges and opportunities and what they're looking for, and let them do the work. You're the coach, you're the facilitator. I've developed programs to be able to do that. If you want to learn how to do that, I've got that covered. That's something that you can ask me about. There's a few people on the call. I don't know, can I call you out, Chris, maybe to just say a word? I did this not unscripted completely, but just about to graduate from our coach training program.
Well, and in the spirit of coaching, may I ask a question? Am I the only one on the call that's actually in the course currently?
I think Olafami's already graduated, and I can't see everyone else. Terrace I'm not sure if she's here, but you're in the first line, so there I can see you. So,
well, thank you for asking. I mean, it's an honor. I always learn something from you. So being on this call, I wrote a couple stats down already, but as a small business owner for 15 years already, having gone through a franchise system with a business partner who did all the financials and all the numbers for us, I lacked that. And so becoming an ICF certified coach just over 18 months ago, and knowing that I needed to up my game in terms of finance, in terms of systemization, and seeking you out and finding out we had mutual friends in common was really cool. But the part that's been the most impressive for me is seeing how much work you've put into your resources, and not only the academic side, but even more important for somebody like me, I need to learn from a mentor who's been there and done it. And you certainly have, being an ICF Coach of the Year previously and having all the systems in place that you've put for us as mentees. It's every week could be a 6-hour class, but it's upon me, as I was telling Kayvon as we were messaging before this, it's upon me to then go out and practice and put it into practical effort and working with my clients with the tools that you've given me to really master it. So I hope that answered the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. I really appreciate it. Sorry for putting you on the spot, but thank you so much for such an eloquent response. I appreciate it. It was unexpected and delightful. So that's awesome. Okay, so whether you're taking coach training to learn how to be a business coach, or you want to just up your game with any kind of coach training, I specifically invited coaches from Alberta and British Columbia to this event because most coaches don't know about the training grants that we have available in these two provinces. Let me just hop over there. I'll come back to this in a minute. In British Columbia, if you're going to take a business coach training program, the government will give you back 80%. It's incredible. If you want to take group and team coaching, the government will give you back 80%. If you want to take whatever your coach business is and that would enhance and help with your market, these grants are still available. They're part of the labor market agreement. I think this particular agreement runs out in 2025. It was a 6-year agreement. So imagine for another, probably at least another 13 months before the fiscal year next year runs out, these grants are still going to be available. In Alberta, the government will pay you back 67% of the cost of training. So we also want to talk about then, how do I get payment for my clients? How can I do that? So the other side of it is, if you have a training program that you've put together, and in this case, like a leadership or a business or financial, using the materials that we've created, your clients can then apply to get a grant to get training. So it's a little more complex and not something I have time to cover in 30 minutes, but those opportunities are definitely there. So I'm going to go back to this. Chris mentioned the resources. So I sketched this on a napkin, literally in 2012, and I just wanted to get it out of my head, all the different parts and pieces of a business, understanding from my 7 years of running a business and then talking to these business owners and then becoming a coach, what it was that I needed to get out. And it was interesting that systems, if you see on the left-hand side under operations, systems is only one part of the equation of 52 different competencies. But really there's systems in everything. There's leadership systems. What's the dynamics between the small business owner and their family, and the dynamics between them and their health, looking at their team, how they train, how they hire, how they delegate, how they reward their employees, their marketing systems, their financial systems. It's not about being an expert. It's about asking those questions. So Gordon asked, do you provide clients, or are we expected to get our own? Again, coaching is a very personal thing. I do have programs where sometimes I do need coaches, and I am working on more of those. To answer your first question, the coaches are expected to get their own clients. And at the same time, part of my certification course is you have to write a business plan. And so in doing the business plan, you go through all the marketing, you do your value proposition. It's like a 60-page document. So you've done the work and you know what's involved in doing that and doing the business plan. So I think I set coaches up really well to do that. Also, we have a treasure trove of courses, social media posts, lead magnets, downloads, everything that I had. I was a sold out coach for 5 years. I had a 2-year waiting list for 5 years before I started training other coaches. Everything that I have, everything that I've done, I make that available to my certified coaches. Diane says your course assists with writing a business plan. So we've developed a course that our coaches can buy. This is at a small fee that gives you everything that you need. The client can see like step, all the resources, the steps, the pieces, and then the Google Sheets and the Google Docs, all of that. And then you get to just coach. What do you need? What does it look like? Where are you getting stuck? How can I help you move forward? So I just asked the question, do you like being told what to do? And if you're really honest with that, the answer is no. But I still need to figure out what I'm supposed to do. So the coach approach with how it works with the brain is by asking the effective questions, you can move someone forward. Even with the business plan, you can never tell anyone a single thing and still coach them by asking questions all the way through a plan really effectively. And I've done it 150 times. So let's see if there's any other questions in there. No, good. Okay, so if you have your phones and you want to have a look at the Small Business Coach Training Program, you can go to the link there. I will also send it in LinkedIn afterwards so you have it. Book a call with me if you're interested. No pressure. We have a class starting next month on the 5th, and I've broken up into 2 sections. So the first part, it's less than $1,000. There's 20 CCE, ICF CCE credits. You can take it for 8 weeks, see if small business coaching is right for you, and then from there decide if you want to move forward with joining part of our team. And we now have 30 coaches all over the world, 7 in Lithuania, Germany, New Zealand, Malaysia, United States, England, in the UK. So yeah, pretty excited about what we're doing here. It's small business coaching is not popular. It's still Wrangler jeans. It's not Levi's yet, but I'm pretty determined to make it, to get out there and to find more coaches to help small business owners, whether you take training through me or whether you just embark on that on your own or you're doing it already. Thank you. And I appreciate your time. And I have like 2 more minutes for any questions. If someone wants to put a question in the chat or provide any feedback, I'll read it. So. How will the client trainee apply for the reimbursement? Okay, so those programs, I'll put those in LinkedIn, those grants when I'm done, is that you just apply through those programs. So if I showed you these programs, just go to those. There's a process there's a system for that, of course, systems business code. There you go. Good. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. I'm getting some really nice remarks. Thank you. That's for being helpful. And thank you for your time today. Thank you for considering working with small business owners and for being with me here today. And yeah, we'll just go back to that one. So if you want to talk to me, that would be great. So there we go. How'd we do? Good? Thumbs up? Woohoo!
Beverlee, may I add one quick thing?
Yes, please.
You're being too modest. When you talk about the grant programs, one of the biggest things that I noticed when I went to apply for the grant, and BC is applicable for me, it's not applicable for everybody on this call, obviously, but you put together some documents that allowed me to just plug and play and enter a bit of my own content, but it was so easy. So thank you for that. I don't know if I ever thanked you.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it makes it so that you can do a 5-month program for $1,000 with the grant. Like I don't know why everyone's not doing it, especially when the need out in the community is so high. And even if you never coach a small business owner, your own coaching practice will benefit so much by going through the program. So on that, I'm going to end on time. I'm very grateful to everyone that joined today. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye for now.